In short, I have never cried so hard at a horror series. Welcome in, twisted fans of horror. It is I, the Fat Mantis, bringing you my review of Ryan Murphy's Dahmer, only on Netflix. This series has brought forth a lot of controversy, as a lot of people wonder if it is too soon. Many of serial killers found throughout the golden age of serial killerhood is usually in the 70s, sometimes the 80s, but Dahmer was caught in 1991, meaning many of his victims' family are still alive and well. People actually remember it. The very man who escaped his clutches, was able to call the police, is still alive and well, feeling that he is being re-traumatized by this event. Now, of course, this causes a lot of problems for anyone who wants to dive into the horror tales, and I would be reluctant of my job as a horror reviewer if I didn't review this. Although this series is not entirely horror, I promise you, it will freak you out. It will scare you. As a matter of fact, I have now sworn off drinking with strangers. It has literally makes me never want to meet a stranger anywhere and be alone with them. It is that creepy that such a situation could happen. And you will be scared and you will be horrified. However, I will say this series goes to great lengths to be tasteful. There is a little blood, but you actually never see any acts of true horrific violence enacted on anybody. However, it is implied. You very often hear horrible things happening, and also the things people describe around you. For instance, the smells coming out of his room are going to upset you. But I would say the second half of the series is unique in that instead of making you want to hide under your blankets, it makes you want to cry and go hug your mother. And I don't know what your relationship with your mother is, but for me, that's horrific. I, of course, kid. I adore my mother. You know what? I'm gonna just delete that part. But the truth is, the series starts off with the first two episodes strangely being temporarily disjointed, as in they don't belong there. The actual start of the origins of Dahmer's life from childhood on doesn't happen until episodes 3, 4, and 5. And actually 1 and 2 are disjointed in time. However, by the end of the series, you're actually thankful for this disjointment. Originally, I was going to suggest to you that you watch it in the actual chronological order, but I think they did this for a good reason, and I now stand by it. It's not as if time is going backwards, but it is kind of odd. Also, I gotta say that anyone who's a fan of true crime will enjoy the ideas that you get to see details. There's all these crazy details. I do not mean salacious details, but I mean details about the Dahmer case that I had no idea of. And I actually fancy myself as somebody who is hip to serial killers and the twisted stories of their lives and the victimhood. Various episodes do not even take place from the perspective of Jeffrey Dahmer, but rather his victims or people around him, family members, neighbors, things like that, allowing it to not ever glorify or even make Jeffrey Dahmer a hero, let alone the protagonist of this tale. It actually dives deep into community and how a serial killer disrupts and destroys a community. As I said before, the first half is going to upset you, where you will be scared of strangers from this point on. However, the second half hits you in the feels. They dive into issues having to do with the LGBTQ community, issues having to do with the black community, issues to do with policing in America, what having a serial killer or a psychopath in your neighborhood actually does to the residents of that said area. And it goes on, and it actually even talks about prisons and how prisons could be affected from this story. I really enjoyed it. Now, it is hard to binge, obviously, We live in the age of binging. We binge on everything, whether it's our favorite drugs, our favorite horror series on Netflix. We want to binge it. I'm going to tell you, this is going to be hard to binge. It's going to upset you on multiple levels, and more than one person has told me that after they've seen a few episodes, maybe 2 or 3, they quickly have to put on something like a cartoon just to gather their wits about them so they can get over what they just saw. I said earlier as a joke that I've never cried so hard from a horror production, and it's true. There are many parts where you just feel for his victims, you feel for the lack of humanity, and you're actually crying not for Dahmer, but for the people who are hurt. I've got to say that a lot of people want to give Ryan Murphy hell. They hate it when he's clever, and they hate it when he's horrific, and they hate it when he's camp, and they hate it when he's too serious. It's almost as if they don't know how to pigeonhole him in any particular place. But I will say, I'm appreciative from all the many faces of Ryan Murphy, and I particularly appreciate how serious he took this. You're not going to see any camp here. This is nothing like American Horror Story, or even worse, nothing like American Horror Stories. Which I think a lot of you are going to be thanking God that is the situation. It is done very seriously. At times almost felt like a docu-drama rather than just a horror piece, but it certainly is horror. Certainly not for kids. I really, really enjoyed this one. I am actually going to give this one 8.5 skulls out of 10. No true crime enthusiast or horror enthusiast should ever let this pass. I think normies are going to have a problem with it. But however, if you are a horror enthusiast, as this channel wishes to reach out to, I think that this is essential viewing for your part. And the good news is that the Wednesday Addams series is right around the corner. So we're going to have an escape from the horrible emotions that are happening here. As you can tell, I only film my episodes for YouTube at night, and I actually just finished the episode not an hour ago, so I'm probably going to have problems sleeping. And isn't that what a good horror story is supposed to bring to you? Now, it is upsetting that people like this can truly exist. Sometimes when you watch it, it almost seems unbelievable. It seems like a character from American Horror Story. You know how there's always a serial killer in every episode. You wonder how this thing could possibly even happen. It often makes me wonder, did Dahmer ever really ponder the nature of his own reality? I sometimes wonder why I jaywalk, or why I sometimes day drink. So it actually strikes me as very strange that someone who is a chronic serial killer and a cannibal, for those who didn't know, spoiler alert, this is about a cannibal, does not sit back and analyze his own existence. Why does he exist? Why is he different than others? And that's one of the most scary parts about this entire thing. Oh man, it's upsetting on many levels. Remember, horror is here to disgust. And those who are the detractors, who wonder, why is this allowed to happen? Why can't we let people just not be traumatized or not have to live this again? The truth is that the horrible, salacious details of horrific things such as true crime really should be public knowledge, because you should know that people like this are out here. And I know it seems kind of sick that we're enjoying this. However, I feel better. I feel more secure that I know this man existed and that others like him can rise out of the horrible flames of our sick society. And I can now better defend myself or any future children I might have. So I would actually argue, I'm sorry these people are getting traumatized. I'm sorry for the pain they've ever lost. And trust me, the series will explore that as well. They will absolutely make you feel the pain of the loved ones who lost people to Dahmer. You can feel that pain. But I am grateful that we have things like this, and I believe great detail was put into making sure that this is accurate. An example is they made sure when they made the set for his apartment that it is the spinning image of Dahmer's apartment in terms of layout. They wanted you to truly feel what was going on in there. So ultimately, it's an essential watch. Please check it out. Take it seriously. I will tell you that there's no point, no episode is bad, and no part of this series is bad. I think some people think that they're looking for the holy grail of a serial killer tale. I don't think such a thing exists. However, if there is a holy grail to serial killer tales, I think that this might be the one. Absolutely check it out. Please do so. This is the season. After all, it is the season of the witch in just a few days as October and Halloween rolls in. Now, the real question is, what did you, ghouls and ghosts, think of it? Please let me know down in the comments. Let me know, am I off on any of these thoughts? I would love to hear your thoughts. Remember to give me a like, a share, subscribe, maybe. It's all up to you. Doesn't matter. And more reviews of horror and madness are on their way. Until next time, ta-ta.